Life has a way of testing our patience, our resilience, and our belief in what's possible. Many people spend their days waiting for the right connections, the right skills, the right moment, never realizing that the greatest shifts in life happen not when the stars align, but when you decide to move forward anyway. Rejection is one of life's most misunderstood gifts. Most people run from it, hide from it, or let it crush their spirit, when in reality, rejection is the very furnace in which resilience is forged. Every time someone tells you no, every time an opportunity slips through your fingers, every time the door you were certain would open slams shut in your face, life is handing you a mirror. In that mirror, you see not weakness, but the chance to grow stronger, sharper, and more determined. The pain you feel in those moments is not the end of the road, it is the beginning of transformation. Think about it. If every request you made was granted, if every effort was instantly rewarded, you would never develop the muscles of persistence. Just like steel must be tempered in fire to gain strength, the human spirit must be tested under the heat of disappointment to develop the resilience that will carry it through far greater challenges ahead. When rejection strikes, it exposes our vulnerabilities and our fears. It makes us question our worth, our path, even our calling. But hidden in that discomfort is the raw material of greatness. Rejection forces you to examine yourself with honesty. Was the opportunity truly right for you? Could you have prepared more, learned more, or approached it differently? These questions, while uncomfortable, are the ones that sharpen your instincts and make you ready for the next battle. Without rejection, there is no refinement. Without refinement, there is no excellence. And without excellence, your impact in the world will always remain limited. The truth is, rejection is not personal, it is directional. Sometimes you are rejected not because you are unworthy, but because you are being redirected to something far better, something you cannot yet see. The people who rise to greatness are not those who never hear no, but those who refuse to let no define their future. They keep knocking on new doors, and when those doors are closed, they build their own. They don't see rejection as a wall, but as a signpost pointing them to a different route. And each time they face it, they come away stronger, wiser, and more unshakable. If you can learn to embrace rejection, you will discover that it is a teacher unlike any other. It teaches patience when you want to rush. It teaches humility when your ego wants control. It teaches perseverance when giving up feels easier. And most importantly, it teaches faith in your own capacity, in your vision, and in the unseen possibilities ahead. When you stop fearing rejection and start welcoming it as an ally, you strip it of its power to harm you. Instead, you use it as fuel, turning every setback into an opportunity to rise higher. The world is filled with stories of those who faced countless rejections before achieving greatness. The common thread in all of them is simple. They refused to quit. They refused to be defined by someone else's no, and they allowed rejection to shape them into something far stronger than success alone ever could. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the foundation upon which success is built. Every great achievement the world celebrates today stands on a mountain of failures, missteps, and setbacks that most people never see. The problem is that many treat failure as a dead end, when in truth, it is a compass. It points you toward what needs to change, what needs to grow, and what needs to be refined in you before you can carry the weight of the success you're aiming for. If you run from failure, you run from growth. If you hide from it, you hide from your own potential. But if you face it, dissect it, and learn from it, you transform it from an obstacle into the very stepping stone that elevates you to heights you once thought impossible. Failure strips away pretense. It reveals the gap between where you are and where you want to be, not to shame you, but to guide you. It forces you to acknowledge weaknesses you might otherwise ignore and equips you with the wisdom to avoid repeating the same mistake. While success can often make you complacent, failure has a way of waking you up. It demands your attention, your humility, and your courage. It demands that you adapt, that you innovate, that you become more than you were before. The greatest breakthroughs in business, science, art, and life itself have come from those who turn their failures into fuel. They understood that every fall carried within it a lesson essential for the climb ahead, but failure does more than teach. It builds character. It shapes your resilience, your persistence, and your faith in a way comfort never could. You learn to endure the disappointment, the criticism, and even the doubts from those around you without letting them dictate your future. You discover that your worth is not defined by a single outcome, but by your capacity to rise after being knocked down. Failure teaches you to separate your identity from your performance, so you can keep moving forward without being crushed by one bad result. The more you experience it, the more you realize that it is not a signal to stop, but an invitation to grow into the person who can finally handle the success you've been chasing. In truth, failure is the training ground for greatness. It is where you develop the endurance to keep going when the road gets long, the courage to try again when others have quit, and the perspective to value success when it finally comes. Those who fear failure never reach their true potential because they spend their lives avoiding the very experiences that would make them strong enough to achieve it. But those who embrace it, who walk into it with eyes wide open, come away with a depth of wisdom and an unshakable resolve that no victory can give. They learn that every failure is not a verdict. It is a lesson, a teacher, and a seed that, if nurtured, will grow into something far greater than they could have imagined. Opportunities rarely arrive in neat, obvious packages. They often come disguised as problems, challenges, or even interruptions to the life you've carefully planned. The people who rise above the rest are those who can see beyond the disguise, who can look at an obstacle and recognize the hidden opening inside it. Too many wait for the perfect moment or the right opportunity, never realizing that life's most valuable chances often show up looking like inconvenience or risk. The truth is, if you train yourself to spot these hidden doors, you'll find them everywhere. They might appear as a sudden market shift, an unexpected conversation, a setback that forces you into a new direction, or a demand that pushes you out of your comfort zone. While others waste time complaining or hesitating, you'll already be moving through the doorway that they never even saw. The skill of seizing opportunity is not just about awareness, it's about speed and courage. Once you recognize a chance, hesitation can kill it. Opportunities have a shelf life. Wait too long, and the moment is gone, often forever. The most successful people have trained themselves to make calculated decisions quickly. They understand that overthinking can be just as dangerous as not thinking at all, because by the time you finish analyzing every possible angle, someone else has already acted. This doesn't mean being reckless. It means developing the clarity and confidence to move when the moment calls. You prepare by constantly learning, by staying alert, and by keeping your mind and spirit flexible enough to adapt without fear. Opportunities also test your ability to invest in the unseen. Many of them don't look promising at first. They require you to commit before the rewards are visible. That's why most people miss them. They want certainty before they act. But certainty is a luxury you don't get when chasing something extraordinary. You have to believe in the potential before the evidence appears. This is where faith, whether in God, in your mission, or in your abilities, becomes your guiding force. You step forward not because the path is perfectly lit, but because you trust that the light will appear as you move. And when you do, you discover that what you thought was a small, uncertain step was actually the beginning of a transformation. Every great story of success is a story of opportunity seized when others turned away. It's about someone who saw a door where others saw a wall, someone who said yes to the unknown and ended up in a place they could never have planned. You can be that person, but only if you train your eyes to see beyond the obvious, your heart to trust beyond the visible, and your will to act before the window closes. Because opportunity, once gone, doesn't knock twice. It moves on to someone else who's ready to open the door. Without hesitation, failure is not the end of the road. It is often the very ground on which the strongest foundations are built. Too many people see failure as a verdict, a declaration that they are not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough. But the truth is, failure is a teacher that no book, no seminar, no mentor can fully replace. It strips away illusions, exposes weaknesses, and forces you to confront truths you would otherwise ignore. Every mistake holds a lesson. Every setback contains a seed of wisdom, but only if you choose to look for it instead of running from it. The most successful people you admire today are not those who never failed. They are the ones who failed repeatedly and refused to let it define them. The pain of failure can either break you or remake you. It can push you into self-pity and bitterness, or it can ignite a deeper hunger to rise again, stronger and wiser. Think of it as a refining fire. Just as gold is purified through intense heat, your character and capabilities are refined through the trials of failure. If you avoid the fire, you stay the same, unpolished and tested, and unprepared for greater responsibilities. But if you endure it, if you learn from it, you emerge sharper, tougher, and more valuable than before. This is why some people can take the very same failure that destroys others and use it as a stepping stone toward extraordinary success. The key is to shift your mindset from "I failed" to "I am learning." This simple change transforms the way you experience defeat. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, you begin to see yourself as an active participant in your own growth. Failure stops being something that happens to you and becomes something that happens for you. This doesn't make it pleasant. It will still hurt, and it should. The pain is what gets your attention. But pain is not your enemy. It is your signal to adapt, to adjust, to try again with better tools and clear vision. You must also learn to separate your identity from your results. A failure in business doesn't mean you are a failure as a person. A loss in a competition doesn't erase your worth. When you see failure as a temporary chapter rather than the whole book, you free yourself to keep writing the story. And often, the chapters after the hardest defeats are the ones filled with the greatest victories. But you will only see them if you refuse to stop turning the pages. Because in the end, failure is never final unless you decide to quit. It's the ones who keep walking through the storm, even when they can't see the sun, who eventually find themselves standing in the light again. Opportunities rarely arrive in grand, obvious packages. More often, they appear disguised as challenges, inconveniences, or even outright problems. The reason so many people miss life-changing opportunities is not because they lack the skill or intelligence to seize them, but because they fail to recognize them when they first appear. When something comes your way that feels uncomfortable, uncertain, or demanding, your instinct may be to step back, yet that very situation might be the door that leads you to the next level of your life. Great things seldom come from comfort zones, and the sooner you train your eyes to see potential in the unexpected, the more doors will open before you. Opportunities are time sensitive. The longer you hesitate, the more likely they are to vanish or be taken by someone else who is willing to act decisively. It's not that you should leap blindly into everything, but you must learn to evaluate quickly and move when your gut and reason align. Those who spend too much time overanalyzing often find themselves watching from the sidelines as others run ahead. The world rewards action, not endless deliberation. Every opportunity has an expiration date, and the clock starts ticking the moment it arrives. Sometimes opportunities don't come knocking. They pass silently in front of you, waiting for you to step forward and claim them. You might meet a person who could change your career trajectory if you simply start a conversation. You might see a small gap in the market that could become a thriving business if you just take the first step. You might hear about a project that sounds risky but could become the defining achievement of your life. The tragedy is that fear, doubt, and procrastination have stolen more opportunities than failure ever has. Recognizing opportunity requires both vision and courage. Vision to see beyond the surface, to look past the immediate difficulty and glimpse the potential reward. Courage to step into the unknown, to risk temporary discomfort for the sake of long-term gain. When you start viewing life through this lens, even obstacles begin to look different. A problem isn't just something to solve, it's a disguised invitation to grow, to expand, to build something new. And if you have the courage to say yes when others say not now, you put yourself in the small percentage of people who turn possibilities into realities. Because in the end, the difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one often comes down to how you respond to the moments that don't look like opportunities. At first glance, opportunities rarely align perfectly with your readiness, your resources, or your ideal timing. Waiting for the perfect moment is often the fastest way to let life pass you by. The truth is, no matter how much you prepare, you will never feel 100% ready for the big chances that come your way. You might feel underqualified, underfunded, or even unworthy. But that's exactly when you must move forward anyway. Growth happens in the gap between where you are and where you need to be, and stepping into opportunity before you feel ready forces you to stretch, learn, and rise to the occasion in ways you never imagined. It's also important to understand that not every opportunity will announce itself loudly. Many arrive in quiet whispers, casual comment, an unexpected meeting, a small challenge that others ignore. If you're too distracted, too rigid in your routine, or too focused on your own limitations, you will miss them. The most successful people train themselves to be present, alert, and curious, always asking, what can this moment lead to? They know that opportunities often hide in ordinary days, and if they can see them where others can't, they gain an advantage that changes the course of their lives. Another key truth is that opportunity is often wrapped in responsibility. It might require you to take on more than you think you can handle, to shoulder pressure, or to make sacrifices others won't make. And while that weight might feel heavy at first, it's also the very thing that strengthens you for the next, even bigger opportunity. Responsibility is not a burden, it's training. Every door you walk through prepares you for the next one. And the sooner you embrace this truth, the faster your capacity to handle more will grow. Finally, remember that the greatest opportunities often require you to risk being misunderstood, criticized, or even opposed by those who cannot see what you see. If you wait for everyone to approve, you'll wait forever. The courage to move ahead despite uncertainty is what separates those who watch history happen from those who make it. The path of opportunity is rarely safe, never comfortable, but always worth it for those willing to take it. And once you begin walking it consistently, you'll find that opportunities don't just appear by chance. They start chasing you because you've proven you can be trusted with them.